Good morning. You're watching the Big John channel, and today we're gonna go pick up a forklift. I have my F-250 hooked up to Lucas's gooseneck trailer. I went and bought a Toyota 8 FGU 25 forklift up in the Ritchie Brother auction in Minnesota. This thing's inoperable because I can't afford a new one, and we're gonna go pick it up and see if we can fix it. So let's get trucking. Well, she's all tied down, ready to go. One of the good things that I noticed so far is if you take the key, must be neutral. She tries. This ain't got no gas in her. Otherwise, someone gave it the nickel paint job. Thing was in somewhere rather dusty because it has the external pre-filter up there, and I have high hopes. Good luck, girl. See you at home. Morning, we're going to take a better look, see if we can get this thing started. So I bought this forklift without even going to look at the forklift at Ritchie Brothers beforehand. It's like a 2.5 hour drive each way. Thankfully it went cheap enough that I was willing to take the risk, but it was on literally the last bid I was willing to make. I'd set the preset number and let her ride and see what happens, and we won. Overall, I'm pretty happy that this is a newer forklift, 2017. You can see by the counterweight, this thing has ran into quite a bit. Normally, everywhere that you have the bondo broken off, that's a sign that the operators are hitting things. Underneath the hood, it definitely could be worse. The battery's at least good enough to get it started. We'll check the dipstick here. Oh yeah, it looks like somebody just replaced that not too long ago. What do we got here? Ooh, interesting sign right there. We're at a 12,000 hour machine, so this thing is not a spring chicken. We're not getting any hours or anything when I turn the key on. That might be a fuse or something. We'll have to dig into that. I'd say my next step is I'm going to check the air filter and then go grab a propane tank, slap it on there, and see if this thing will actually fire up. Why is the seat switch not attached? That's just wired together? Oh, what is wrong with you? So before I even tried starting this, I'm really curious why the dash isn't lighting up. Why it looks like we're missing a relay, a fuse up here. I don't know what is going on, whether or not this needs replaced. We're not getting power to things, which is interesting that we're still able to get the engine to crank over at all without any of the rest of the computer being alive. So we'll see what happens here. I'll give it a crank. Maybe we'll just randomly start up. Maybe we need to go buy some fuses. I'm going to say let's get this thing off the trailer into the building. I'll go buy some fuses. We'll do some more troubleshooting in there. So we're gonna try and pick up the mast to get it up off the trailer. Right now we'd be dragging. So we got the carriage up. I still need the mast to tip back, so. Here's my plan. I'm gonna unchain the forklift. I'm gonna put the jack stands down on the trailer, give me a little bit more back tilt. Hopefully I can just roll, or I can ride on the forklift on the way down. So the tilt trailer, it'll start going, I'll stop it, it'll tilt down, and then I can try and coast it into the garage. Get it as close to the final location that I can. Got it. All right, we got way in the back some boards on the ground for that thing to run into and then stop. I put a ball on the end of the fork so I can push a little bit easier on the carriage. I'd say that went about as well as it could have. We are in the garage. So I was just going through the fuse box. I'd pull out each fuse, check to make sure nothing's broken. I pulled out this little 10 amp and you can't see it here in the video, but there's just a little black spot that made me think that, hey, maybe this is broken. So I pulled it out, and if I go over here, there's a 7.5 amp horn, and we are going into the ECU B slot. So if I pull out this horn fuse and replace it here, see what happens. Interesting. Something's not happy. You know what if I... Why is it not happy? Well, now it's happier. Does it turn over? Interesting. So I think I'm gonna go hook up the propane to this. We got codes out the wazoo. We'll see what happens. It does have 12,000 hours on it. Something's not happy. I did not like how that engine just took off like that, and I'm definitely not a fan of the key not turning everything off. So we'll try digging into that a little bit. If I go and put that fuse in, everything will power up on that side. We're good. I can use all the different functions by having our good old seat switch override enabled. What I'm gonna do now is fire this thing back up, lift up the carriage, take the chains off, tilt the mast back, take those off, and then we'll go take this thing for a spin, see how she runs. I'm brave enough to take it out on the road at this point. No horn. Oh, we got turn signals? Look at that. It's a little slow. Not a lot of comment. Maybe that diaphragm needs cleaned on the propane. Or it might be speed limited. Yeah, I think somebody speed limited this thing to 7 miles an hour. Well, I'm pretty happy with what we have so far. Welcome to pressure washing day. I'll be doing a lot of troubleshooting, I believe, up inside this column here. So I want to take off some of the plastics here. I want to take out the floor pan, clean this thing out with a pressure washer, and hopefully do some work on it over the next couple days, get it ready to sell. I guess the auction house goes and puts the steel cable on so no one steals the key. That's appreciated. I bought things before from that auction that did not run because they didn't have a key. So one of the things I noticed after tearing into this a little bit more, got this connector here, which looks like it should plug into that location there, and it is not attached. I think our lever bushings could use some love. Man, pressure washing did not go as I expected. Wherever this thing was, it had to have been like a concrete plant or something that really deals with like lime or some sort of really hard, powdery material. This thing did not want to clean up like at all. You can just see how it's pretty much like caked, baked on there. And yeah, there's a reason why everything that got repainted still has what appears to be like all of the concrete still baked on. At the end of the day, this thing ain't gonna be perfect. Not trying to bring it back brand new and restore it. One thing I also noticed, apparently the steering column adjustment there left the chat and someone decided that's the best way to fix it. The next steps for this machine are I want to figure out the ignition switch. Right now, when you turn the key to the off position, everything stays powered on. Don't know if it's supposed to be that way or not. I've been pulling the fuse to turn it off. We got some new fuses in the mail. Went through, replaced all the fuses that were missing, added in the replacement ones to the correct slot. We're much, much better on this guy. I still have some relays waiting in the mail. One of the relays right here is labeled power off. So what I think is going on is this relay right here is either not contacting great or has had some issues in the past, because ever since I started going in this box, playing around, put this thing on charge and retried, the key off now works. All the fuses are in. Those displays are off, the controller's off. I turn the key on, they turn on like they should. I turn the key off, and they turn off. We are in a much, much better place than we were before. We also got our brand new propane tank off the internet. Took both of these over to the store, got those filled. Now we're good to go. Don't have to swap tanks anymore to move them both around. We got a special delivery. One water pump drive replacement. There's a little bit of a rattle noise. I went and took the fan and you can feel the wobble in the bearings. We're gonna end up replacing that today. I'm attempting to drain as much coolant out of here as I can. I have a hose dunked down on the top. We are letting gravity do gravity things. And hopefully we'll have that bucket filled up with enough coolant that we don't have to worry about this. So back here we have our fan. It's mounted through the pump or the water pump. You guys look at that gap between the belt and the housing. This thing has quite a bit of wobble to it. It's not leaking yet. In order to take that belt off right there, we have our alternator right here. You can see it. Right there is the tensioner bolt. I just need to slack that off, allow us to take the belt off. That bolt right there is what actually clamps down on your alternator. So with the 12 millimeter, you gotta back that off. I'm just gonna back that out a little bit. Okay, it's off. There we go. That wasn't so bad. So now I have all these small bolts all the way around. I'm guessing it's easier to take the hub off. We'll see. Let's see what happens. We got the fan off, we got the pulley off. We have our new drive here, and we have the old one ready to come off over here. So I'll go get the impact. We'll zip those screws off. You can't really tell on the video, but there is definitely a little bit of play within this pulley. So it definitely wasn't failed, but it's failing. And at this point, it's one of those, it's better you fix it before it just blows apart and takes out your entire radiator than wait. Whoopsies. Well, we caught most of the coolant that's coming down. That wasn't too bad. Here is our current assembly. And here's our new guy. They look pretty much identical. So I think we should be good. So one critical thing to remember is I need to make sure the belt goes on before we put the fan on. Just pick that up over like that. I got the bolts in. They're snugged up a little bit. I'm gonna tension the pulley here, and what that will let me do is really get on those bolts. That ended up working out pretty well. Let's put the red Kool-Aid back in. All right, I think we're pretty good. So one of the issues with this forklift right now, the levers here are very, very sloppy. So I went and ordered some new plastic bushings off Amazon. In order to change those out, I'm actually gonna take this whole plastic cover off, just give me a little bit more access to these rods. We'll pull that out, swap those. Hopefully that tightens everything up nice. I already disconnected the gauge cluster here. This piece comes out nice and easy. I really wish there was a good way to clean out all this like concrete dust. It's just kind of one of those things you deal with. Pop these little plastic guys out. Ooh, yeah, that definitely might be our issue there. I would say it was about time we replaced these. The plastic bushings were definitely worn out, and this should tighten up all these control levers pretty well here. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to hit the camera there. Well, shoot, I don't even see plastic bushings in this last one. They must have completely worn out. Oh no. Yeah, we're gonna have way less slop with this. Get the last one up. Oh yeah, we are way better than we were. Look at this. They're not even hitting each other now. Up, down. Perfect. That was an easy fix. All right, with that fixed, let's get this thing put back together, put the new forks on it, and get it outside for some pictures before we sell it. This is a new piece I picked up from eBay. Just makes this thing look a little bit more complete. Good old cup holder. Well, we found another Facebook Marketplace purchase for the forklift. Obviously we're missing some forks. I picked these things up for around $200. They're 48-inch forks. The guy had updated his skid steer to 60-inch ones. They're pretty nice forks. There is a little bit of rust and corrosion on the bottom, but overall they look pretty happy. What I'm gonna do right now is get the grinder out, try and knock some of the rust off, paint them black, make them look nice and shiny. I could try and sell them the forklift without forks. Most people who buy this one though, they want it ready to go and ready to work. So this is an easy way to add value for not that much money. we're gonna hit this. I got some high performance Rust-Oleum left over from a previous project. I'll hit these with this. Better than nothing, I got another can. They're not new, they're not perfect, but I think for anybody buying it, it's gonna be good enough. All right, let's put the most important part of the forklift onto the forklift. I forgot what to do. Oh, that sucked a lot. Whew. A lot easier since you could just use it as your leverage here. Well, unfortunately, we are dead in the water right now. I was just running this thing back and forth in the driveway, checking out the mast lift and everything. And as I dropped the forks all the way down, it just died and currently won't restart. So there's probably something wrong with the evaporator right now. So we're going to crank it. We get a nothing. So that's a problem. I'll probably let this thing sit out here. It'll probably heal itself overnight as the evaporator fluid film either works its way, out or whatever. I'll probably have to take it apart, change out the diaphragms in that, and we'll be back up for the races. So yeah, luckily I did not block myself in 100% tonight. So the way these systems work, this tank is filled with the level of liquid propane. There's a tube inside here that actually dips down and picks up the liquid, not the gas, out of this tank. That liquid goes through the hose, down that other pipe, over and across, comes over, down, and then into your evaporator right here. So the first step is there's a valve. This is your evaporator right here. There are lines, these two right here. These are your coolant lines. They keep your evaporator warm. You'll have gas go into the evaporator. The evaporator will heat the liquid up and allow it to expand into a gas. That gas is what the engine actually needs to burn. Whenever that process happens, you end up needing to add heat to that liquid. So we're using the coolant to provide the heat so it doesn't frost over. That runs into here. There are diaphragms inside these that control how much liquid you're converting into gas. And so that maintains a certain pressure on the backside, which then feeds all the way over into your carburetor. The carburetor then meters that gas into your system. If you have too high of a pressure from here, you end up overpowering your carb, and that just floods the whole system with gas. My goal for today is I want to take this apart, pull this out of here, and try and clean up any of the gaskets. I think I have a rebuild kit for this. We'll see. Because there is coolant going to this through these lines, I'll probably try and use something, we'll see how soft these tubes are, to block off the flow from them. But really, the best bet is to drain out as much coolant as you can. That way, if you are leaking, you're not gonna get it spilled all over the place. That wasn't so bad. Awesome. Now we got our evaporator out. All right, so we have our evaporator here. We'll start taking it off first, pull this cover. There's pretty much 2 main diaphragms and some springs in there. All right, so there's your main cover off. Here's your first diaphragm. Well, I already tore the gasket, so this thing is scrap. You can see right there, I punctured a hole right underneath that circle. So, it's fun while it lasted. Oh my gosh, it is gooey. And it smells terrible. So the way this works is over here you have atmospheric pressure, inside you have gas pressure. Gas pressure is higher than atmospheric. This will push out, thereby closing the inlet on that side. If you start getting a vacuum, it will pull it in, opening it up, allowing more in. Right here, we have our other side. And another diaphragm with a spring. Well, there still might be a chance. Not strip out the screw today. Go over very poorly. You can see how corroded that little seat is inside there. We got some new parts in the mail. So far, they're looking pretty good. If we get our spring back put together. Sweet, let's go put it back together. I think step 1, we need to put the coolant lines in. Those were the most difficult of the bunch to take off. Okay, that coolant line's on. That coolant line is on. Let's make sure we do our clamps as we work through this. Don't want to forget anything. The vacuum line, the other vacuum line. So last is the supply line with this kind of over everything routing. We'll plug in our connector. Let's see if it runs. Turn the gas on. Perfect. Now we got this thing all tuned up. I think I'm pretty much 100% done with everything I wanted to do. The lights are working. The propane is working like it should. This thing's driving, moving, has new forks, has new tanks. it's ready to go down the road. So let's take it outside, run it through its paces, really try and break it. If nothing's wrong, I'm gonna get this thing listed and hopefully somebody will be by to pick it up soon. Well, it's been a few months since I last worked on that forklift. I thought I'd give you guys an update on how selling it went and dive into the details on how much money I ended up spending to sell that forklift and how much I made. So to jump into it, originally I bought it from Ritchie Brothers for $3,500. That did not include me going up, hauling it with the truck and trailer. I ended up buying a new set of fuses for it, a relay inside, a new water pump, the propane tank, and the forks. Altogether, those supplies cost around $800. And so I had roughly $4,300 between the materials and the forklift into that machine. This forklift took a while to sell. I had around 33 different people message me on it. And there were several people who came, said they wanted it, came, looked at it, decided it wasn't for them. I had others that just wouldn't show up. Eventually, I did have someone come back, write me a check, and ended up taking it without any hassle, which I'm glad for. And I did end up finally selling it for $5,500. So if we take how much money we got compared to how much money we spent, really I only made around $1,400 on the machine. Going through and trying to just roughly tally up the number of hours I have into this machine, probably is around 30 to 40 hours of time. $1,400 divided by 40 hours into the machine, really, I'm somewhere in the like $35 an hour range. I would say I made money. Did I make a lot of money? No. I think one of the problems for me is I thought the forklift would be worth more whenever it was repaired than what I ended up being able to sell it for. The biggest inhibitor it had on it was the fact that the forks only lifted 132 inches. A lot of the more standard warehouse forklifts, they go up to 181-ish because they have a 3-stage mast. The 2-stage mast really held it back, and I think that was probably one of the selling features that was needed to really take that from a $5,000 machine into an $8,000 machine, which is what I was hoping for. That's about all I have on this project, and really I'm glad we are done with that forklift. It's out of here, and I can start working on some other projects. With that, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.